The following is a presentation of Studio Audrain, powered by the Mexico Ledger.
Welcome to the Saturday morning sports show here at the Mexico Ledger. We're coming to you live from Slumberland as we do every week. And we do want to thank our sponsors to start off the top of the show. Of course, Slumberland Furniture in Mexico, responsible for this great set here. United Credit Union, Weber Family of Pharmacies, Mexico School District, Arthur Center Community Health, and a new sponsor this week, the Community R6 School District. So a big thanks to everybody for making this happen. It is going to be a busy sports show. We've got a lot of sports going on. The end of the Major League Baseball season is coming for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. Cardinals are wrapping up their final series of the season against the Chicago Cubs. They're 78-82. They have missed the playoffs again this year. Last time they were there was 2022, so we'll see what happens in the offseason and how they get that going. The Royals are 80-80. They have been eliminated from the playoffs as well. They're ending their series, final series of the season against the Oakland Athletics. Also, Missouri Tigers homecoming is today. They are 44.5-point favorites, ranked 20th in the nation as they take on the UMass Minutemen, and that's a 6:30 kick. Of course, I-70, construction going on there. MoDOT warning everybody to leave early to get there on time as the Tigers take on UMass homecoming, and we'll see how that turns out, but it should be a big Tigers victory. That brings us around to high school football. As a matter of fact, week number 5 taking place last night, and we want to bring in our first guest on the show. He is a senior running back from the North Callaway Thunderbirds, Mr. Wyatt Haden, and want to say good morning to you.
Morning.
Glad to have you in here. You guys are off to a really nice start, 4-1. A little bit of a tough game last night against Palmyra. Let's just kind of recap that game. Palmyra is a good team.
I mean, yeah, Palmyra's a good team. When you play good teams, you got to be ready to execute because you know they're going to execute. I think, bad week. We'll be back next week, see what we can bring on Louisiana.
Absolutely. A conference game next week. Is that on the road or at home?
That one's on the road.
That one's on the road again. Talk a little bit about your role on the team, if you will, Wyatt. How many years have you been playing football?
Well, I actually only started my freshman year, and I play middle linebacker and running back for the team. Our offense is super cool because we got like 5 different dudes we can just interchange around, and we all have different strengths. Number 34, Jaden Galworth, runs people over. They kind of use me as a speedster. But I also call the defense a lot, and just happy to be playing my senior season.
What are some of the goals this year for North Callaway? I mean, I believe this is the best start since 2018. One of your coaches was a part of that 2018 team. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, obviously we have, I think, 4 coaches who were all state. Big, good coaches, good at high expectations for us, and we got a weak conference, but weaker without Bowling Green in it, and I think we can jump on this conference. And Wright City and Van Far coming up, very respectable opponents. Mark Twain coming to us for homecoming. It's going to be a good time. In Louisiana, they're nothing to laugh at either. So it's just every week got to prepare and watch film, and I think we can go get the conference. And then our districts, obviously, you've seen it, everybody's seen it. It's very tough, but we got to watch film. We got to get in the room, and I think we can make something happen.
Absolutely. I was doing a little research before our interview. I saw a Facebook post about the songs that you listen to get motivated before a game. Alice in Chains was on there. What are some of those other songs that kind of get you hyped up and ready to play some football?
Alice in Chains, the Rooster, has always been a tradition. I don't know, my sophomore year, my freshman year, all the seniors listened to it, so it's just kind of stuck around with us. And other than that, it's whoever jumps on the stereo first. It's different every week, but we always make sure we play that one and then a couple others.
All right. That sounds good. Talk a little bit about wrestling too, because you're a dual sport athlete. You wrestle as well. How many years you've been wrestling? When did you start that?
I've been wrestling a lot longer than I've been playing football. I think I started in the 3rd grade, and I kind of wrestled off and on until 8th grade and coming into high school, and I was on a good team behind a really good Eli Henry. He got 5th at state, so then I came in sophomore year, and this year we had Kellen Long. He got 2nd at state last year. third at state last year, second year before that. He transferred in, and Colin Moore's coming back. He's a state champion, and I think we just got a really good team here. We got opportunity to do some things there too. I'm really excited for the season.
What are your personal goals in wrestling for this year?
Well, I got bounced really hard in districts. I was winning 8-7 in my bubble match with 15 seconds left, and I lost that one. So I'm back with a vengeance. It's time to go to state, and it's my time to show up and place at state.
All right, very nice. You were telling me before we started recording, you're starting to take some visits to colleges. Tell us a little bit about that. Where are you thinking about? What are you thinking about doing after high school?
Well, I've always wanted to go to a big college. I don't think I can play football there, so I would love to. I went and toured Vanderbilt and Nashville, and I went and toured Mizzou. So I'm still thinking about a couple different ones. I'm obviously going to apply to all of them. But
you favoring Mizzou, hometown? I mean, I'm not pushing you there. But
it looks pretty nice right now.
It looks pretty nice right now. All right. Well, listen, I want to say congratulations on the great start, 4-1, and hopefully you have a really strong finish to the season. Thanks for getting up early and joining us this morning.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Mr. Wyatt Haden. He is from North Callaway football as he goes and gets ready for week number 6. They'll be taking on Louisiana, and hopefully we'll have Wyatt and maybe some of his teammates on again very soon. And we're going to talk a little bit again about our sponsors. We want to thank our studio sponsor, Slumberland, here in Mexico. They are responsible for our set. Also, United Credit Union, Weber Family of Pharmacies, Mexico School District, Arthur Center Community Health, and our brand new sponsor is Community R6 School District. And, we're kind of looking ahead to week number 6, and we want to bring in the Mexico High School Activities Director right now, Mr. Brandon Schafer. It's going to be a big week as he brings in the Highway 54 Bowl sign. This is probably one of the longest running rivalries in high school football. I love that sign.
1920.
1920 is whenever the first game was played. Let's go over a little bit of the history. I think Mexico has won several consecutive Highway 54 Bowls, correct?
Since 2013.
13 in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
5, 6, 7, 8. Yep.
Hold on a minute. He's still counting. Yeah.
Right around there. And
13, as a matter of fact.
17 out of the last 18. Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Highway 54 Bowl and what this means to the two schools, if you will.
It is a lot of fun. Records out the window. You always know with good rivalries like that, records are out the window. Going to Fulton, it's always a tough matchup. I think one of our best teams in the last 15 years, they went to Fulton, and it was a mud bowl, and it was closer than everybody thought. You never know what's going to happen when you go there. The kids get up for it. Fulton gets up for it. It's always a show. It's always a show.
This year is going to be played in Fulton.
Yes.
It bounces back
Yep.
and forth.
Yep.
Talk about that, going on the road at Fulton, the atmosphere over there. I know the student sections, they get hyped.
They get after it,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting setup with all the fans being on one side. It makes supervision a little bit more difficult because our kids want to go over there, their kids want to come over here. So, but it's always, it's shoulder to shoulder. The Fulton brings the whole town, and obviously only being 20 minutes will bring a big crowd, especially this year, last matchup for the NCMC. So, I think it just means more, right? SEC, it just means more.
It does. You're absolutely right. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago on our opening sports show about the 54 Bowl. If it's going to continue into next year, kind of remind everybody about that. Give us an update. Is it still a goal to have the 54 Bowl next year?
It is. It is. Fulton reached out to us after they had made their decision, and their AD called and said, we really want to continue it. And, I talked with Coach Haag, and it's one of those where we don't necessarily want to be Kansas in this situation, but it was a conversation if we wanted to continue it, and we'll be playing in week 2 next year, and it's a great matchup, and we like the opportunity to play them.
No doubt. The winner of the Highway 54 Bowl gets to keep the sign that you showed us just a couple of seconds ago.
Yes.
Where does that sign reside in the year after you win it? Where's it at?
It'll usually stay in the coach's office for a while, but once the season's over, we put it in our main trophy case, like our main trophy case. That's where it goes.
Very nice.
It is probably, besides district champion, state championship trophies, it's the number one thing we got in our school. So it's always on display.
And on the very back of that sign, it has every matchup listed from the very start to the very end. So it has the history.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you and the Fulton AD, is it Curtis?
Yes, it is Curtis.
Curtis Walk over at Fulton. Do you guys have any side bets going on here? Are you raising money for anything?
Gambling is not legal yet.
Oh,
Matt.
not till December
1st.
Thank you.
So no, we do not have any side bets. We play a little golf in April, and so we save all of our side bets for there. So, it's always fun.
Very nice.
It's always fun.
Very nice. Well, I know there's going to be a lot of hype leading up to the matchup, Mexico against Fulton, Highway 54 Bowl. Fans should probably get there a tad bit early because the seats are going to be filled up at Hornet Stadium over there. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff next week, and going for 14 in a row. I want to wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for stopping by this morning, Mr. Brandon Schafer, bringing the big Highway 54 Bowl sign. He's got to get that over to Fulton for next week for the big game, Mexico and Fulton. We do, again, want to thank our sponsors, studio sponsors, Slumberland Furniture of Mexico, United Credit Union, Weber Family of Pharmacies, the Mexico School District, Arthur Center Community Health, Community R6 School District, our brand new sponsor. And we're going to bring in our next guest, the head coach of the Mexico high school football team, Steve Haag. And thanks for coming out again this morning.
Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you here. Last night, a very tough match up against another ranked opponent, the Hannibal Pirates. This is always something that, that we look at every year, and it's going to be a tough game. You guys ended up having a 14-7 lead going into halftime. Kind of your thoughts on last night's game. Let's talk about the first half first. I thought, Mexico forcing 2 turnovers was huge.
Yeah, I think that, I think going into the game, being 3-1, and a lot of talk, is the talk real? How real is it? And, every year we get to judge ourselves against Hannibal, because they're our nemesis in conference and in districts. And so going into the game, we kind of wanted to see that. And, they get the opening kickoff and they drive down, and we get the turnover on the 4-yard line. We're able to get it out of there, drive 96 yards for the touchdown. And then they get the ball back, they drive, put together, I think, about an 80-yard drive, and we're able to score as well, 7-7. And then we get the ball back and go 80 yards and score again. I felt good that offensively we were moving the ball. But, in games like that, I knew Hannibal would make adjustments. They're getting the feel of us, we're getting the feel of them, and you go back and forth. And then, we kind of sat there, and the defense kind of had a bend, don't break mentality. Maybe didn't move the ball as well there towards the end of the first half. They got close, but we were able to hold them out there before half to go in at 14-7. But I think overall, playing well. I've been really happy with our physicality. I think we've came out. I don't know if I've had a team in a long time that has come out and played that well from the start in 4 straight games. And so I was just really happy how we came out that first half. And when you play Hannibal, you've got to take advantage of those mistakes and those turnovers, and we did in the first half. And so then you go into halftime, try to talk about a little bit of adjustments, some things you want to do, and see if those can work when you go out in the second half.
And talk about playing a physically imposing team like Hannibal. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at it from the sideline and going, my goodness gracious, that's that boy's a load to take down. How did your team deal with that physicality and taking on some bigger guys? I think that's probably the biggest team that you've seen so far this year.
Well, I liken it to, I don't know if this analogy is the best, but you're going to run into a wall, 120 times. Are you going to get tired of running into that wall? And I think as the game played out, I think you saw towards the end, Jeff got into his old Hannibal split back veer, what they're known for, what they've won hundreds of games doing. And, he said, stop us. And I think that then, you kind of saw running into that wall kind of wore into us, and then they're able to punch it in there late, get the tied up, and then late punch it in to go 20-14. And it kind of wears on it, and what you're hoping is that it's too late, that it's really too late for anything to happen. You run into that wall, but it was just you kind of saw it wear on us. And yeah, being big and they're always physical, and that's the litmus test for us. Is that you think that if you can play well against them, if you can beat them, usually you're going to compete in every game you're going to play in the season. And so coming out of it, I thought there was just missed opportunities. We took a great opportunity with that fumble and scored, but there were other opportunities out there I didn't think we took advantage of. And I think when we watch it on film, I hope the boys are disappointed because honestly, I think we probably let one get away. I hope they feel that way. But you talk about playing against big people, and we talked about that after the game, is that we're disappointed after the game, and I get it because we lost. But guess what? You have every opportunity to practice like that every day against, hey, I'm going to go up against a Hoskins who's 6'4", 290, and I'm going to have to tackle him, and I'm going to have to do that. And that's the type of mentality you have to have when you go in the weight room, when you're practicing on scout team, when you're watching film. You have to have that mentality because it's going to come to you, and how are you going to play? And we played well. I thought we played well for 3 quarters. I just thought that, in that fourth quarter, they just kind of took control, and credit to them. That's what they do. When I took over in 2014, I said, that's what I want to play like. That's what I want to be like, because here's the thing. If we can beat them, I think we'll set ourselves up for some good runs and, in districts and playoffs, and we have at times. And so I think this team can do it, but we're going to have to reset. We're going to have to quit having a pity party and get back to work.
Let's just kind of put a bow on this game. Charlie Fisher, 85 yards on the ground. Drew Dement, 39 yards, a touchdown. Caden Benny catches a touchdown, has 40 yards. Did I see James Matthews throw a touchdown pass last night?
Well, I thought it was funny because we thought people were going to jump on our reverse. We had a good reverse against Centralia. We ran it really well against Southern Boone, and then Odessa sniffed it out, and we pitched it, which is fine because we want people to be honest. So we throw the pitch, we do the reverse to make sure backside stays home, and they're not just running. And then so Coach Baker, he goes, I think I want to throw a pass off of that. And I said, okay, if he can throw it. And I thought the reverse would have worked. If James would have ran it, I think he probably would have. I mean, he might have scored. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he stopped, pulled up, and threw it, and Caden made a catch and run. And I told Caden over there, I said, I know you were nervous and that ball was coming to you. He goes, yeah, I was too wide open. I mean, there was nobody around him, and those are the worst balls to catch because there's nobody around you. So, yeah, it was a good play call, and we kind of understood how they had played us before. In 21, we had a really good team, and they had a really good team. They were runner-up, and they played everybody like within 5 yards, and we probably should have thrown the ball every play because we were behind them, and we just figured out they're gonna play our run hard, and we can get people behind them. And last night we did. Caden showed that, and I think there's other times we probably have some people behind them. We just got to get them the ball, and so kind of that game plan, that thought mentality was there. We just got to execute and make sure that we can get that. And as I said, the next goal is we got to get back to play them again. And if we do, it's probably going to be in a Week 12 game. So we've got a lot of work to do before we get there.
You guys broke back into the rankings this week. You were ranked number 9 in Class 4. You talk a little bit about that. Has it been a little while? I was trying to figure out when the last time was that Mexico football was in the rankings. I think it was the year that you beat Seneca and then met St. Mary's. That was a couple of years ago. What does that mean to your team being in the rankings? Do the guys talk about it? Do you look at it at all?
Well, I didn't even realize we were ranked. Somebody said something to me, and I was like, okay. And because, I mean, really when it comes down to it, I think the ultimate goal is to hold up the trophy. And, that's the number, that's the ranking you want. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's good for the kids. I think it's great for the program to be recognized that way. But, number one is I think we have a really good team. Are we a top 10 team in the state? I think if we're healthy and we're playing good football, I think that I think we give a lot of people some trouble. But we have a lot of games ahead of us, and it's fun to talk that stuff. It gives sports writers and radio guys things to do, and it's fun just to talk about. But ultimately at the end of the season's where you want to see that ranking, and you would love to be at the top. And so but that takes a lot of hard work, and you got to beat teams. You got to beat multiple teams like Hannibal, and so you just get to work and try to get that done. And and so I think the kids like it, but it puts some pressure, and you just never know how they're going to respond. Is it some people take the reins, oh, we're good, and then they go out there and we don't play very well, or they take it and they say, hey, we want to move up, and they get after it. And so but I've been really happy with how we played, and I think if we come out every game and play like we have the last 4 weeks, I think that a lot of these teams will make problems for them.
Two more things I want to talk to you about before we wrap up the show. Student Teacher Appreciation Week. It's always one of my favorites, and the social media timelines get filled up. This is something you started whenever you came to Mexico. It's a pretty awesome thing, but for people that don't know about it, tell everybody what you do. One week out of the year, this thing is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if I take credit for. I think someone asked me that the other day. When I first got here, I know Todd Burke. We would honor teachers doing some things, and then when I took over, I thought, well, how can we do that? And then I know I see some people give jerseys, and some of these teachers don't want to wear those tight jerseys. And so when I got it, I said, what could we do? And it's kind of evolved over the years, and so I allow every player gets to choose a teacher, select a teacher. So we had 56 teachers honored at our dinner. We feed them a dinner. Becky Paley she did catering for years, and she took over Bucky's, but she's been our one caterer for the 12 years I've done it. So she's exclusive, to doing that. But she does a great job. We have the same meal because the players love it. Chicken cordon bleu. She does a great job of that, and green beans and all that. And then the players write them a letter to their teacher why they chose them, and then we buy them a shirt. And usually I try to pick out some smart word that I would never use in life, because I'm not that smart. And we put a quote on the back, and Jimmy Johnson's, he was on that Netflix series, so I picked a Jimmy Johnson quote this year.
What was it?
It said, if you have an expectation of a player or a kid, basically they'll meet that expectation. And so it was basically wrapped up in that. I don't know the whole one. But and then Show Me Credit Union, they donated the shirts this year. So, it gets to be an eye-opener, because feeding 130 people and buying those shirts is not cheap. And so these boys go out and they sell cards in the community. They raise money. So when you're buying a card or you're donating to the football program, it goes to things like that. And we're trying to give back to the teachers. We try to give back to the community. We want to hire local businesses to do it. So Graffiti does our shirts, and Becky does the food, and Show Me steps up and donates. And so we want to make sure that we're a Mexico football team. We play for Mexico High School, Mexico Public Schools, and we want to honor those businesses that do business in Mexico, and make sure that the money that is donated to us is spent back into the community, so it does gets a little bit of that back and forth, and we appreciate everything everybody does for Mexico football. And as I told somebody, I love coaching football. I wish all I had to do was coach football, but this is it's one of the most stressful weeks of my life, 2 weeks, because I'm organizing all these people to come and make sure that they can. And but it's a great thing. My mom and dad, what was I figuring up? I think my sister with my sister, my mom and dad, and me, I think we're over 120 years in teaching.
Wow.
My dad did 33, my mom did 31, my sister's closing in on 30, you know, and I'm at 26. So, you know, education is really important in our family, and it's important to these kids' lives, and you know, and it'll be more valuable to them later. I don't think they understand how important these people are or will be from the lessons they're taught. And I brought a teacher. I brought my old coach,
Saw
Coach
that.
Shaw, and he knew him since I was 7 years old, and he was my defensive coordinator, and is a great he was a great football coach, and taught me a lot of life lessons, how to act, and as I told the kids, you know, we had some great conversations, and he also yelled at me when he needed to, and so he set me straight. But
Part of it.
That's what you know. That's what great teachers do, and mentors, and you know, I grew from it and look back on it, and you know, you smile about you know, you don't remember the bad times, you remember the good times, and so you remember all that. But so it was great for him to come down, and you know, I guess I'll have to select somebody next year, so I'll see if I can get them to come.
It's good stuff every year. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, one last thing, kind of tell us about next week, 54 Bowl. It's the Fulton Hornets. It's the last matchup between Fulton and Mexico in the North Central Missouri Conference. I know you want to go out on top.
Yeah, I mean, we've had success against Fulton. You know, these kids, I think, you know, I don't, you know, when I took over, I don't know if the rivalry was as strong. And then I think Brandon was talking about the 2014 game. We go down there and probably should have ran away with it, but it was a muddy field, and I think we came out with a touchdown win. And there was probably not – they weren't happy, and we celebrated on their field. And I didn't think it kind of let a spark in everybody, like, you know, this is a rivalry. And from then we've been really fortunate in the rivalry that we have we've won them. We've actually played them. We actually played them one other time. We played them in district, so we played them one more time. We played them in 2020 in the Week 10 district game.
That was a
and
win.
Beat them, and that was a win. And so, yeah, I mean, it's important. You know, I grew up in the longest rivalry west of the Mississippi, in the Bell game in Brookfield versus Marceline, and so I know how important rivalry games are. You know, in rivalry games, you know, you're supposed to go back and forth. You know, you want to see some balance to it because it gets it sparked. But in this case, we don't. We want to continue to keep the sign, and I think those guys. That's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch this film from Hannibal, and we're going to make some corrections, and then we're going to lock on to Fulton, and we'll go out of this year with you know, hopefully a win, and then we'll reset, and we'll have them week 2 a little bit earlier next year, but. We'll keep the rivalry going and, you know, see what happens in the future.
Absolutely. Well, we hope to have you back again next week. We hope you bring that 54 Bowl sign with you whenever you come back next week. And that's going to do it for another edition of the Mexico Ledger Saturday Morning Sports Show. One more time, thank our sponsors, Slumberland Furniture, our studio sponsor, United Credit Union, Weber Family of Pharmacies, Mexico School District, Arthur Center Community Health, Community R6 School District, and a big MIZ.
ZOU.